Steve Harris and Dave Murray of Iron Maiden.
Hi, chaps.
Welcome.
Hello. Afternoon.
Now, I'm sure you've been asked this question 100 times, probably 1,000 times, but I've got to go back to the beginning and ask you your earliest influences, first of all.
I think probably UFO and Jethro Tull.
Yeah?
Yes, and Deep Purple.
Not that old then, are you?
Getting on a bit.
Yes, and Jethro Tull, it doesn't really sound very much like Iron Maiden music, does it?
No, but we've got a lot of tempo changes in that, so I suppose there's probably a bit of influence here and there, you know.
Yeah. So how did you two first meet? How did you actually get together? Because, I mean, you're like the longest surviving members of the present band,
it was, actually, I came down for, like, an audition.
Through Melody Maker, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, always looking through Melody Maker, you know, for, like, gigs and stuff.
What did
And
it
that's
say,
what I
the ad?
found,
What did it say?
Well, it wasn't an actual ad. It was, what it was, a singer who was in our band at the time, a bloke called Dennis. He sort of auditioned Dave before when, you know, in an old band of his. And so he said, well, yeah, I know this really good guitarist. And I said, well, you know, get him down. And came down, plugged in, and that was it.
Kept Dave and got rid of Dennis?
Well, actually, yeah, a little bit later, yeah. That happened a little bit later. But
So
yeah,
what was the first gig, then, you could say that Iron Maiden ever did, just out of interest?
So that wedding reception in, no, actually, the Carton
Horses,
actually, yeah.
was the very first Maiden gig.
In the East End of London?
Yeah, May 76, I think it was.
What's it like, though, going from small gigs to, like, a couple of hundred people, then going up to big stadiums of 20,000, 30,000 people?
Well, it didn't happen overnight, so it's a gradual thing, you know. It wasn't like, you know, one night we were playing Ruskin Arms or something.
Even so, did you ever imagine you'd get this big? I mean, one night you're at the Carton Horses, and like, could you say, like, oh, 3 years from now it'll be...
No, not really. I mean, we just thought we wanted to play clubs and pubs and just play all over England. We didn't even think about outside of anywhere else, you know.
Yeah, just actually being able to go out and play and, you know, wherever we played actually at clubs or pubs, it was just that feeling to go out and play. So over the years, it's sort of just gradually, you know, step by step, actually I sort of built it up, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't overnight.
No, of course not. And management, of course, helped. How did you go about getting good management and your record deal?
Well, that was a bit of luck, really, because I used to be an architectural draftsman, and a bloke I used to work with, a bloke called Andy, used to play rugby with Rod Smallwood, who's now our manager, and I just said to Andy, look, you know, take this tape interview, you know, because he used to manage Cockney Rebel before Rod. And so I just said, well, take the tape and see what he thinks, you know. So he came down, and the first couple of gigs that he came to, well, one of them got cancelled because, you know, we had, like, problems with this bloke who's running the pub, and we had a big sort of row with him and everything, so we didn't end up playing, because he wasn't going to pay us the money and this and the other. And so that was one time a disaster. Then the next time, the singer at the time, Paul Diano, got arrested outside.
For carrying a knife?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right,
carrying a
yeah.
knife.
That's right, yeah.
But it was just like a small, like, it wasn't even a flick knife or anything like that. It was just
Honest
like
governor, it wasn't, no.
No, honest, yeah. No, it was just one of those ones for cutting wood or something. You know?
Picking your fingernails, that's not nice.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, we went on actually and done like an instrumental, like half the set. Then Paul came like the last 15 minutes, so he sort of walked in and like,
just jumped on the stage and went himself.
Finished it. It was great fun.
Now, lads, I know you've just been away for like 13 months doing a huge world tour, 24 different countries. I mean, and you're both still alive. It amazes me. How do you do it?
It amazes me. It's pretty tiring, you know.
I mean, 13 months. There's not many bands actually do that, do they?
Well, actually, it ended up being about 11 and a half.
Oh, well,
that's
all right then, isn't it?
You know, it's funny, actually, when you're on tour and that, you go on stage every night and we play for like an hour and 45 minutes, and it's like a workout in itself, you know, go out there and enjoy ourselves. So you actually can keep yourself fit also, you know, while playing, which is...
But I mean, mentally, how do you handle it? I mean, if I came to you today and I said, right, I've got another 13-month world tour, you start tomorrow.
Well, I couldn't
run away. Run away, actually.
Back in London, they're arresting. What's it like to readjust? Is it easy?
It takes about... yeah, really. No, it takes a couple of weeks to really settle down. You know, sometimes, you know, in this case, because we've been away so long, about a month to adjust to the times. You know, I mean, first of all, sort of sitting up at 4 in the morning watching videos and stuff and all that. Now I'm, you know, sort of going to bed around about 1 and getting up about 9 or 10, you know, so I'm roughly back to what it should be. You know?
But I mean, like 24 different countries, I mean, it just blows, you know, I just can't imagine what it's like. I mean, how many of these places do you actually remember being in, for instance?
Well, I remember being in all of them, really, you know.
Yeah.
know,
sort
it's different memories from each. You know.
Yeah, a lot of fond memories actually of the tour. You know, even like where we started off in Poland. I know that was like right at the beginning of the tour. I can still remember it.
That's because you got the video of it, I bet.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be able to say, if you said, oh, where did you play on, you know, the 3rd of July, we wouldn't be able to say, oh, we played this place, but, you know, it's, we can still remember the actual places, you know, from the gigs and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you like to live anywhere else other than England?
No, definitely not.
No.
No way.
Very patriotic.
It's not just that. I think it's just, I don't know, this is home. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live. It's great to visit other places, you know, but this is home.
Now, lads, this is the big day, isn't it? Today, the new album is actually released, Live After Death, a live double album, right? Now, side 1, side 2 and side 3 come from the Long Beach Arena in California, and with side 4 from the Hammersmith Odeon here in London about this time last year. How did it actually come about, that idea?
Well, we wanted to really record, you know, all of it from Hammersmith because it's home. But, you know, we ended up sort of recording 3 sides of it from LA because by that time, you know, like October was when we recorded Hammersmith. And then time March came around in LA, we were just playing that bit better, I think. Most of the numbers anyway.
Plus, it's quite nice because, I mean, they're all actually quite old songs on the last side. I mean, I'm not really sure if I'll see you lot play those songs too often again.
Yeah. Well, in Europe, we can get away with playing a lot of old stuff, you know, because everyone knows them, you know. But, like, in America, the first album wasn't, you know, we didn't tour with that and all that, so they don't know the early songs so much.
But what's your favourite side? I mean, Dave, if you go home at night and, like, you know, actually pull the record out, I mean, what's the actual side you'd put on?
Yeah, what we were saying earlier, I think Hammersmith is like, you know, for actual raw energy, you know, that's one of my favourite
That's
sides.
one that gives you the buzz.
Yeah. I also like sides 1, 2 and 3 too. I mean, it is, you know, for actual production and the whole live thing, you know, I still get excited listening to it. You know?
Yeah.
And here it is, the album,
Live After
Death, which is released today. Beautiful, a gatefold colour sleeve there. You obviously pay attention to, like, the minutest detail. There's little gravestones there with messages on. And do you have a lot to do with the making of the cover and design?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
You do, yeah?
Yeah.
And there's an 8-page colour booklet that goes with it too, which is also very nice.
And there is also the fiercest looking Eddie you've ever seen in your life, right in the middle, taken by Ross Halfing, who we had in the studio a couple of weeks ago. Now listen, chaps, the cover artwork is always done by Derek Riggs, right? Your artwork man, he's done all your album sleeves, but he's actually like a man of mystery, isn't he? I mean, we've never actually seen a photograph of his face, for instance.
No, it's up till now.
We can actually see him in
You
it.
can see his face now. Up to, you know, before then, he sort of had his hand in front of his face, or just to try and keep a bit of mystique now, you know, because he's a bit weird like that.
Well weird.
He is well weird, as it happens.
Probably the weirdest.
Really nice
people-
bloke, but I'll say that please.
He's nice, but he's dead weird.
Yeah.
Video out as well to accompany the album, also called Live After Death.
Yeah.
What's the ideas behind the new video?
Well, that's from LA as well, but that was
Oh,
recorded
right.
on a different night to the album, so it's a different soundtrack, in fact.
Oh, I see. Hopefully we'll be able to show some clips of that next week.
It's quite an interesting video. I mean, it's like there's like something like 9 different cameramen on it and stuff like that, isn't
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I had one camera, it's called Rover, and it's like on an arm. And so you could like actually cover like all the audience and the stage sort of thing, you know, with like a wide angle lens on it.
You see, I'm lucky here because I actually had a sneak preview of it just a couple of days ago. But it's like cuts around at lightning speed, and I've got to tell you, it's fantastic. But a lot of people say that heavy metal groups can't make good videos. Do you ever hear that? People say, you know, oh, heavy metal groups always make boring videos.
I've never heard that said, really.
No?
No.
I hear it said all the time, and I disagree. I mean,
Not true, no.
Well, I disagree, yeah.
Well, there's now for something completely different, chosen by you, Steve. This is huntily clad ladies with whips and chains. And is this policy or just by chance?
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, it's actual music that we like to put across first anyway. I mean, like in Aces High, one that was like live footage from like World War
Yeah,
II,
right.
you know, the plays. So we like to put something in that's probably a bit more, you know, that's compliments to the music, really, you know. I guess we could have that sort of thing, you know, with him playing about and stuff, but...
You're not totally against the idea, then?
No.
Tell me, chaps, live double albums by rock bands particularly tend to mark the pinnacle of a group's career, you know. It's kind of like phase 1 has ended, you know. Do you feel like that about it?
Not really, no. I think it's just a continuous thing, you know. We've wanted to do this live album for a long time, and I don't think it's like pinnacle of the career or anything like that. I hope not, anyway, because we can only go down from the pinnacle, so...
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, I always used to get that impression that they'd groups would put out the live double album, that was it. They'd never play those songs ever again, or if they did, it would be different, you know. And all
No,
the
we
rest.
still played it, you know, quite a few of them songs.
Mm.
Seems your songs have got faster and faster over the years. To me, anyway. Would you agree with that?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, the live album's faster than, you know, anything we done. You know, live we play faster anyway. It's just like adrenaline, you can't help it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, sort of jump on the rise and take a nick out, like, try and pull it back. But, you know, other times you just think, well, let it go because it's exciting, you know.
Yeah. Get out there and it goes for it.
That's why essentially, I guess, on the live album that you know, we had to make sure that over the 4 nights we was actually right on top of it to hold it back, you know, because we know that it's going to be like on the live album, so it's got to be well solid and there, you know.
Now, I understand the royalties from this record are going towards the anti-heroin campaign.
Yeah.
What made you decide to take that step?
Well, we come back from America and there seems to be all this heroin addiction about in England, especially with the, you know, school kids and everything. We just thought we'd try and, you know, help put a stop to it, really.
So every penny that you make of this record will go to that?
Yeah, it goes right in there, yeah, to the funds.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
When can we expect to see you back on the road? I know you've only just got back, but touring UK and Europe again.
It's been a long time since we've seen you over here, you know.
Yeah, I know. Too long, really. But, got to have a bit of time off. Or, you know, we charge the old batteries up again.
Are you thinking about the new album yet at all?
Not really. We've, you know, got time off and we'll start working on that in January. And then we've got middle of next year, we'll start touring again.
What, over here and in Europe?
Yeah, in Europe first. Europe always first.
Great, well, I look forward to that very much indeed.
And thank you very much for taking time out of your resting period to come and see us.
Yes, thank you
Thanks
very
a lot.
much indeed.
You fulfilled one of my dreams. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Yes. Well, you didn't beat us. You beat the Music Express and the Iron Maiden team combined.
Yes, but you had some pretty decent players in there.
Oh yes, but five decent players doesn't make a team.
How did soccer become such a big part of Iron Maiden's lifestyle?
Well, Steve's always been a radical soccer fan. I mean, he lives, eats, breathes West Ham United, which is the team, which is his local team, where he comes from. West Ham has always been a great team. And they have this theory of attacking soccer, which they always go for it, you know. It doesn't matter if they're losing 10-0, they go for it. And that attitude has a lot to do with the Iron Maiden attitude, too. Because we...
Always attacking?
We take the same thing on stage. It doesn't matter. Sound, rubbish. If you get a great audience, you can sit back and rest on your laurels, but we don't. We try not to. And if you get an audience that's very lethargic, maybe doesn't know your music, then it's very easy to sit there and dismiss them as being ignorant or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I think if you're any good, we could go in front of an audience of 50-year-olds and get them rocking. It depends what mood I'm in, but hardly ever to Iron Maiden. I mean, if I go on the bus and I feel like a good rage, and you line up the six-packs and everybody down the back, and there's no substitute for Judas Priest, AC/DC, Deep Purple, Rainbow, and like, you know, Brain Damage. That's great.
But then there's other
A
moves.
bit more thoughtful. I listen to a lot of Jethro Tull. Now and again I listen to some Vandergraaf. I listen to Vandergraaf on the road.
Okay, talking about heavy metal, why did you get into it in the first place? I mean, you were a university graduate. You may have gone on to other things. Why?
Okay, yeah. I started getting into heavy rock when I was 13 years old, and I listened to an album called Deep Purple in Rock. And I wanted to be every single member of that band. So I was sitting there and I got into like Jethro Tull and then I got into Sabbath and all those sort of bands. And each band had its own flavour, its own character, its own mix of all the various musical factors that make a band great.
But you've mentioned a lot of bands with aggression. Did you ever think to yourself why that you like that type of music?
You're dealing with what I regard as being the fundamental nature of people. Now, believe it or not, I regard myself as I'm not a violent person. Never have been. If I was a violent person, I'd be running around beating people up, the team that beat us. I'd take my violence off the soccer pitch. When the game finishes, that's it. You play the game within certain rules. And the reason you play the game within certain rules is because, not because you're challenging the other people so much, you're challenging yourself. And that's what Iron Maiden's about. It's about fundamental human feelings and everyday things, and try and put those into songs and try and make them effective. And then you entertain people, you make people happy. And making people happy is something that a lot of people have forgotten about. When a person's happy, you see, he reacts in a different way to when he's mad. When a person's happy, he'll listen to other people's points of view. And music is supposed to break down barriers, not build them up.
I know a lot of people that hate rock and roll, go back and play records and find some satanic message in it. And I know you did something that basically illustrated this point.
A load of nonsense.
Yeah, of course it's a load of nonsense.
It's completely preposterous. I mean, but if old JC was to wander down again from wherever he is at the moment, he'd have a real hard time. And I think if he came down and he looked on all the rubbish that's going down these days, and all the, I shall pause so as not to make a rude word, but so-called religious gentlemen who are asking for hundreds of dollars on TV.
Well, you watch those shows, do you?
I watched one for 40 minutes, and I had to turn it off.
I find it mesmerizing.
I was on the verge of physically damaging the television set. It was nothing short of, it was the nearest thing to the Nuremberg rallies that I'd ever seen on television, and it was terrifying. I found the whole spectacle horrific. It was because, one, it was completely non-materialistic. There's no way you're going to make a lot of money in the army. Two, there was an element of risk, an element of adventure, and also I think, and I still do believe, that it's something which has to be done by somebody. I left school, I joined the army, the active army reserve for a year to find out, and then the plan was from then I was going to go on and become an officer in the army. But I decided I didn't like officers. I thought in general they were.
What about officers? It seems to me to be better than to be the subservient pawn who goes marching off to who knows
But I really got on with the subservient pawns. I thought they were great guys. I mean, what you call the subservient pawns. I thought they were a great bunch of guys. I thought they had a lot more wisdom and a lot more substance than most of the rest of the world put together. They didn't have any axe to grind.
in their simplicity.
Yeah.
We're talking old values now. Honor, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Since, well,
You're
I
talking
guess
about
the last 20
individual
years.
values, innocence. You know, it's... Anyway, man here. This man's going to throw his frisbee. Come on then. Talking about emotional experiences. Hello.
Stick it on.
HMS Glasgow. There you go, mate.
All right.
Up in the UK. Hang on a minute. Well, don't go away. I want to give you your hat back. I don't want you getting into trouble.
I see they've had a few drinks. Let's say Iron Maiden, which already you have a great deal of success, becomes very big. What do you actually want from the money? What are you going to do with it?
I like sailing boats.
What about a little house in Beverly Hills?
No. I like keeping my things simple but direct. I would like to own a 1984 Corvette. I think they're very nice. They go very fast. I have the utmost admiration for them as a motor car. I think they're a beautiful object. The only other car I'd be interested in would be a Jeep with iron girders on the front that just pull those other cars out of the way. It's an expression of individuality, a car.
Well, as the lead
I'd never
singer-
consider buying a car. The only thing I buy, other thing I buy is a train.
A train?
Yeah, because that demolishes semis.
I'm with you.
I love train. Are you a train fan?
I love trains. I will get...
You have got my soft spot there.
Yeah.
I'm a train nutcase. And when the train pulls around the corner, there's a thrill that goes through me. There's that thing. You can't believe that something so massive,
Maybe we found the key to the aggression in Iron Maiden. Anyway, Bruce, thanks a lot.
I want to be a train.
Steve, it's not exactly a secret that Iron Maiden originated in the East End of London. Which part of the East End are you from exactly?
Leytonstone, actually.
You're
It's not really the real art of the East End, but it's, you know, just the borders of it, I suppose.
It's also no particular secret that you're a staunch West Ham supporter.
Oh, yeah.
We shan't hold that against you here.
Well, they're doing well at the moment. So.
They are doing well, yes, I'm afraid they are. Was
Yeah.
there ever a chance that you might have gone into football rather than become a professional musician?
Yeah, well, when I was about 14, you know, I had trials for West Ham. I was on their books for about 6 months, and I don't know, I just got disillusioned with it, really, because, you know, from sort of this eye, I wanted to be a professional footballer like most kids, and when I actually got down there, I found it was too, I don't know, I didn't want to be that competitive and too serious, and just at the age when I wanted to start going out and meeting birds and
Meeting women,
and drinking with the lads and stuff.
What sort of bands were you into when you first got interested in music? Who did you like to listen to?
When I first got into music, I was really, I suppose, into bands like King Crimson and Genesis and early Black Sabbath, Purple, Zeppelin, all that sort of stuff, and Jethro Tull, of course. Basically, you know, for a mate, you know, to bunk off school, and shouldn't really say that, but I used to go around with mates, play a bit of chess and that, and used to put all these albums on, and I thought it was hippie music, you know. I was not used to all this stuff. I'd been listening to the Beatles and things like that, and I thought, you know, what is all this stuff? And he stuck it all on, and I said, oh, I couldn't handle it at first. And he said, well, look, take a couple of albums home, Jethro Tull and things like that.
Mm.
So I borrowed them, and lo and behold, I become hooked to the stuff, and, you know, I just really started wanting to hear more and more, you know, rock albums or whatever, and it sort of went from there.
Well, searching through the archives, the first band I can find that you're involved with is a band called Influence, which I think later became called Gypsy's Kiss.
That's
What
right.
sort of music was that?
Very heavy, not very subtle, and really not very good, probably. We did try and write a couple of songs. In fact, we used to do an early sort of version of Innocent Exile, which was, you know, sort of after the song at that time we were using. But we used to do stuff by Wishbone Ash, and not very good though, you know. I mean, they were a bit too good at that time, you know, for us to copy them really well. But later on, we started doing stuff by Free and Sabbath and stuff like that, and you know, started to learn quite a lot. And in the end, I think I've been playing only about 10 or 11 months, and we actually did our first gig. Actually, just played just around the corner from Dave Light's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like Aberfeldy Hall in Poplar.
Right.
And it was like a competition. We only played for 15 minutes, and I was so nervous that I was supposed to start this bass intro thing, and I messed it up so bad that the singer thought I was tuning up. It was that bad, yeah.
Did you win the competition?
We came second.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you met up with Dave Lights at that thing, or did you know him already before that?
No, I knew him before that. We met in the Bridge House pub and that, and basically he knew me missus, you know, because they went to school together and that, and basically I just asked him if we could rehearse at his place where he was staying, at this vicarage place.
Yeah. When you left school in 1972, you didn't get involved with music on a full-time basis straight away. What sort of jobs did you work as then?
Well, I was an architectural draftsman, and I did an apprenticeship for about 5 or 6 years, and got all my exams and all that. But in the meantime, I was made redundant and that, and I did various jobs like, you know, dustman and road sweeping,
all the glamorous
packing in
jobs.
factories and stuff like that. Yeah, all that sort of thing. Yeah.
After Gypsy's Kiss, you got involved with a band called Smiler, I think.
That's right.
Was that different musically to Gypsy's Kiss?
It was quite different. Yeah, it was more sort of rock blues stuff, and we used to do stuff by Savoy Brown and early Fleetwood Mac and all that sort of thing. Because the blokes I was in the band, I mean, I was like 18 at the time, and the blokes I was in the band were like 26, and I thought that was sort of ancient at the time. But, you know, they were a lot older, and, you know, they had a lot more experience in playing different sorts of music, and I thought, well, you know, I'll try playing some different sort of stuff. I mean, I'm not particularly into the blues that much, some of it, you know, like Free and that I like, but blues influenced stuff I'm into, but not actually really the blues. But I, you know, tried my hand at it and learnt a lot. We did quite a few gigs, and basically got me out there on the stage, you know, which was the main thing, and that was the basic thing leading up to forming Maiden, gave me confidence to form my own band.
Right, and that happened in Christmas of 1975.
That's right.
You left Smiler and formed your own band called Iron Maiden, which you designed the logo for as well.
Yeah.
Why did you pick the name Iron Maiden? Was it to do with Margaret Thatcher?
No, nothing to do with then. It was you know, I was only sort of linked up really later on when she wasn't even in Powderhound, I think. And so really it was a torture instrument thing. You know, I was watching this film, Man in the Iron Mask and all that, and it was, although that's not actually in the film, basically talking about names. This was before I even formed a band. I was thinking about names for a band. And that just came up. I thought, oh yeah, it'd be great, you know.
At which point things get quite complex in Maiden's career. Now, you had a keyboard player who briefly passed through the band, and then Paul Di'Anno appeared on the scene as vocalist. Was he the first serious singer that Iron Maiden had, would you say?
Probably, yeah, the first serious singer. The other couple of singers probably wouldn't agree with that, but but yeah, he was, yeah. We had a bloke before that called Dennis, and another guy, you know, Paul Day. But they weren't in the band for very long.
I think Dennis was the Kiss fan, wasn't he? He used to have blood coming out of his mouth on stage.
That's right, he had a sword on stage, and he used to pull sword through his mouth, had blood capsules coming out, but we all said it was a bit too much like Kiss, you know.
Sounds quite interesting, actually.
Oh, it was good, you know. I've still got some shots of the early days and that, and it's quite good to sort of look through the old albums and have a look at them and see what, you know, what he was up to at the time.
So when does the infamous Ruskin Arms appear on the scene with Iron Maiden? About this time or later?
That was a bit later, actually.
Yeah.
Because originally, you know, when we started out in like 79 and that, really gigging seriously, we were, before that we'd just been playing, you know, one pub here and there, and then gigging seriously in 78, 79. We were basically doing sort of, you know, the Arrow in Barking and the Bridge House, Canning Town and Cart and Horses and places like that, all East End gigs, and we couldn't get work outside, really, you know.
Now, in the early days, Maiden seemed to be thought of as some kind of punk metal crossover band. Did you ever see yourself as being affiliated to the punk movement in any way?
Not at all, no. In fact, we hated it because it stopped us getting work. We couldn't get work, you know, because of, well, I won't say what I called them, but a lot of these bands, and, you know, we were really annoyed because we weren't getting, you know, regular work.
It is true, though, that you were booked to play the Roxy, a fairly notorious punk hangout in Covent Garden.
Yeah, well, it was quite funny, really, because to be honest, we didn't really know what was happening with this punk thing until it's really started to get in the press, and this was just before that. And so anyway, we got booked to do this gig through some agent who wanted to manage us and turn us into, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know.
Told you to cut your hair, probably.
That's right, yeah. So anyway, she happened to book this gig at the Roxy, so we thought we'd better go and check it out, because we thought, well, we're not, you know, too sure about her, you know. So we went down there, and me and the singer Dennis at the time went down there, and there's all these, like, well, yobbos, like, sort of going over each other and stuff, and it was a bit, yeah. But I thought, you know, if we went down there and played a gig, and our fans come down there, there's going to be ructions, you know.
I can imagine there'd have been trouble,
That's right, so we said, no way, you know.
So instead you went off and you recorded a demo, which featured 4 tracks, which were Invasion, Prowler, Strange World, and Iron Maiden.
That's right, yeah. Well, we went to Cambridge to do that, Spacewood Studios, and it was like New Year's Eve, 1978. Snow for days. It was just covered, and we had a motor that we, you know, had no sort of tax and insurance or anything. It was falling apart. We just had to get up there, and we didn't even have a place to stay. We were going to keep in the back of the van.
Yeah.
And lucky enough, Paul this bird and invited us to a party, and we crashed out of this party. So otherwise we'd have been keeping in the back of the van, you know.
The demo was quite significant, though, in Iron Maiden's history. And, of course, Iron Maiden is still a big number in the set today. Yeah,
I think it's been quite a few years now, really. As far as I know, we've always ended the set with that song. And, you know, I don't think the fans would really want us to change that, you know. I don't really think there's another song that we feel would feel right at the end of the set.
When you recorded your first demo, you took it along to Neil Kay, who at that time was DJ at the Heavy Metal Soundhouse in Kingsbury. Did he have an important part to play in Iron Maiden's career? Yeah, very important, because he started playing the demo tape. Originally, we just took it there to get a gig there, you know, and he started playing it, you know, pretty much every night of the week. He fell in love with the tape and playing all the numbers from it, and the fans really, you know, got into it. And basically, he had a chart there which was compiled from the fans' requests, and we were the first ever band to get a demo tape, you know, like #1, you know, with a Prowler. Yeah, Prowler did very well in that. That's right, yeah. Of course, you played at the Soundhouse, became a popular band there. Yeah. And you also played at the Music Machine. One particular show, you played with Samson and Angel Witch. That's right. And there was a review that appeared at that gig in Sounds, which is the first time, I think, the new wave of British heavy metal was actually mentioned. Did you consider yourself part of a new wave at that time? Did you see it as being a new movement? Again, you know, as I said before, we didn't realise there was a movement as such going on, and we knew that there were bands, you know, breaking to get through and trying to get work, and it had been too long since,
you know, like the big bands had broken into a certain area, and then there was this big gap, and there was no new young bands coming through. But we weren't really aware that there was this big movement happening, and we didn't really know about Saxon at the time and things like that until it started getting good, you know, like press coverage and stuff. And then we realised there's bands everywhere, you know, really trying to go for it, and thought, this is good, you know, because like all this punk thing was happening, and we wanted to keep them out the door, like, you know. So it was great, you know.
So in December of that year, you signed a recording contract with EMI, and Rod became your manager officially. But you'd already had a lot of press. You'd had the front cover of Sounds already before that. Did that press help you get the record deal, do you think?
Yeah, it probably helped, but I think what really did the record deal was that they came down at a couple of gigs and this, that and the other, and we'd been playing to a following, and they knew that we had this real hardcore following. And when they finally came down to the marquee, because Rod had a bet with me, actually, that we were going to sell the marquee out, and because I was really worried, I said, I don't think we're going to sell it out. He said, oh, yeah, we'll sell it out by 8 o'clock, and sure enough, we did sell it out.
He's a fairly shrewd businessman, Old Small, isn't he?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And, so then, of course, the record company people come down to that, and they couldn't believe it, and, you know, sort of unknown band, and that selling out the marquee first time headlining, and, you know, they took it from there.
So when you signed to EMI, you presumably quit the various jobs you've been doing and became full-time professional?
That's right. Well, actually, we'd already done that about 2 or 3 months before, because we started getting a lot more work. Because after the demo tape, you know, and the charting sounds and everything, we was able to get a lot more work. So we had to actually give our jobs up, and so we could sort of work all through the week rather than just taking long weekends and going sick and what have you.
So Maiden's first UK headline tour was in November, December of 1979, and then you released a single called the Soundhouse Tapes that had 3 tracks from your demo. Now, you couldn't actually buy that in record stores, could you? Although I gather a lot of them were keen to get hold of it. Yeah,
well, we were selling it mail order, and also we were selling it at gigs. We had a couple of our roadies, like, we had T-shirts made up as well, just like plain red ones with just black Iron Maiden logo on it. And you still see a couple of them on the road now and again, so you know they're real hardcore, you know. But there was only really 5,000 made, although at the time we said it was like 15, you know, just to sort of, you know, add a bit more to it. But it was actually only 5,000 ever made, and there were temptations to, a bit later on, to, you know, get rid of some more because people were asking for them. We thought, no, we'll leave it as like a collector's thing, and then the real hardcore fans would be the ones that, you know, got it.
Right. Now, on February the 15th, you released the first single on EMI, and that was Running Free, and you played live on Top of the Pops. It must have been a very interesting experience.
Yeah, it's pretty chaotic, really, because people running around, you know, with like decibel meters and all that sort of thing, and in the end, it messed us up a little bit because, you know, we couldn't sort of play at the volume that we needed to play to get the sound and everything. But at least we went on there and played, and we were the first band, I think, to play live on there since you about 8 years before something.
The single's also significant in that it featured the artwork of Derek Riggs for the first time. The figure of Eddie, though, he was kind of shaded and off in the background a little bit. Derek's worked on all your records since then. He's obviously a very important member of the team these days.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely like 6th or 7th member of the band now, if you include Martin Birch. And, you know, I mean, his artwork's amazing, I think. He just gets better and better. But what we do, really, we give him the lyrics and everything and say, well, no, these are the lyrics, you know, make something of that. And sometimes we change a few things, like on the Running Free single, I think we changed it from Arsenal on the back wall to West Ham or something like that, you know.
Right. So then you went on and did your first album with Will Malone producing that one. And then you toured with Judas Priest, the album going in about number 4, I think, in the UK.
That's right.
I think Priest at the time kind of felt you were ripping them off a little bit in terms of the way you looked and the way you sounded. Was there some uneasiness on that UK tour?
A bit, maybe, but I think they were more surprised the fact that we actually had a big following, you know, and quite a few of our fans were at the gigs because we'd actually been round and did like all the clubs and that in those areas where we were playing. So I think it surprised them quite a lot, actually, that we were actually going down so well, you know. Did throw them a bit.
Well, in fact, you went down so well, you then embarked on your own headline tour of the UK, in which Eddie appeared on stage for the first time. And you then played the Reading Festival. You were second on the bill to UFO on the Saturday night, which must have been great for you, because I know people way of UFOs.
Yeah, big UFO fan.
That's right, you're a big admirer of his. There must have been a big step for the band playing the Reading Festival then.
Yeah, we were really nervous. I mean, we were so nervous. It was the first couple of numbers, I think we pretty much messed up, and, you know, it really took us a little while to settle down. But the fans were so much behind us, it was unbelievable. You know, we couldn't seem to do any wrong, really, you know, in their right sort of thing. But once we settled down, it was, you know, plain sailing. It was great.
Right. So after that, you were off into Europe. There was a 40-date tour supporting Kiss, and then Dennis Stratton left the band. What happened with him?
Well, he wasn't really into what we were doing, I don't think, you know. He started trying to write some songs and that, and they weren't really, you know, our cup of tea at all. And he was never really into the heavier sort of stuff. He was more into like Wishbone Ash and the Eagles and that sort of stuff, which is fine. But you know, he wanted to incorporate that sort of stuff with what we were doing, and you know, we just weren't into it. So there was all sort of disagreements going on there, and in the end, he ended up going, you know.
He was replaced by Adrian Smith, who was, I think, previously with the Broadway Brats. And you recorded a single called Women in Uniform, which had previously been done by an Australian band called Skyhawks, and again played live on Top of the Pops, and also did a promo video, which I think was one of the first ones ever done.
Yeah, I think it was actually. We were told at the time that it was probably the first actual promo rock video. So, yeah, you know, it's good. It's quite a good video. It never got played on very much, but, you know, still watch it now and again.
Bruce, where are you from originally? You're not a native of the East End, are you?
No, not at all, no. I'm actually from Worksop in Nottinghamshire. But it always gets put in biographies as I come from Sheffield.
Yes, I've read you're from Sheffield
yes,
as well.
In fact, I'm from about 20 miles south of Sheffield.
Do you want to put the record straight here, then?
Put the record straight. Rod thinks of me as a token Yorkshireman because he comes from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And he has to have an ally somewhere in the...
so you're it, basically?
I'm it, but I'm not actually from Yorkshire. But don't tell him that, because he still sort of thinks I'm a kind of a Yorkshire.
We'll keep that one quiet, then. Yeah. Now, your background is very different to that of your predecessor, Paul Di'Anno. You actually went to a boarding school. So you did your street credibility quite a lot good by getting expelled from it as well. Why was that?
I did do my exam results much good, but yeah. Well, I was actually the thing I was actually finally expelled for was getting rid of the contents of my bladder in the headmaster's dinner.
So after that, you were off to Queen Mary College.
Yeah. And
you were getting involved with bands, I think, rather than studying in the library. You were
that's the main thing that prompted me. I mean, I'm not, although I'm quite interested in history. I mean, I didn't exactly want to turn into a don or anything like that, or go and be a history teacher.
Oh, you were studying for a history degree there, were you?
Yeah, and well, the main reason I went to do history there was a friend of mine had been there, and he said that it was to quote, he said it was the biggest DOS he'd ever had 3 years in his life. So I went, well, I've got to go there because it's in London, and what I really want to do is try and get involved in music. So it seemed like a good idea. All I had to do was write a few essays and pass a few exams, and then I could spend most of the rest of the time working on singing and bands and things.
Things got a little more serious. You joined up with Samson, who featured Paul Sampson and Thunderstick as well, people might know. You were with them for about 2.5 years. Was it a tough decision to leave Samson to join Iron Maiden when Paul Di'Anno quit?
Yes and no. It was musically it wasn't a tough decision at all, because as far as the music thing was concerned, I was absolutely convinced that it was the right thing to do, because I'd always admired what Maiden had been doing, and thought, well, you know, wouldn't it be great to sing for a band like that? You know, the thing that really made me sweat for about 3 days was the idea that I was letting everybody down in the band, because we'd been through an awful lot of problems, and we'd all been sued into next week, and people had, you know, been threatened with losing everything and all the rest of it. I mean, I didn't have anything to begin with, so, you know, 100% of nothing wasn't a big problem for me, but we had been through a lot of problems and made just about every mistake it was possible to make in terms of the business, you know, like getting the worst record companies and the worst managers and the worst agents and everything. So that was something, and I just sat down and thought, well, hang on, I shouldn't really be having to think about that. I should really just go with what feels good as far as the music's concerned.
Yeah.
And so I just sat down and told them one day, I said, look, Maiden asked me to join, and I really want to do it, and so I thought I'd tell you.
Started recording the Number of the Beast album with Martin Birch, done at Battery Studios in Willesden. In March of 1982, Run to the Hills was released as the first single, and that was followed by the album itself. As I said, it was called The Number of the Beast, and there was a video done for the title track of that album, wasn't there?
Yes, recorded at Newcastle City Hall, actually. Immediately, but we had to get up very early. We were in Edinburgh the night before, and we had to get up very early and come down to start shooting the video. They just set up the gear on stage for the show, and we were shooting the video all day long until about a quarter of an hour before the doors opened. In fact, we had to hold the doors, I believe, and we were still all in our stage kit. We were absolutely knackered. And so we just had time to go down, have a cup of tea,
and just go straight back out on stage again, you'll notice that there's a couple of ballroom dancers come on, which was the director's idea. He had this bright idea coming up on the train. So we arrived in Newcastle, and breezes in as all directors do. It was like, give me this dear, and give me that dear, and, you know, all the rest of it.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know, video directors are like. And he suddenly announced he wanted to find 2 ballroom dancers. So we phoned up. this was like immediately. I want to have 2 ballroom dancers. I'm in Newcastle upon Tyne on a Saturday afternoon, and he found these 2 people who'd never been in a video. They were just like amateur dancers, and they just turned up, and they really got into it. They were, you know, and then we had the idea of turning his wife, who's the guy who's dancing or something like that. We said, well, I tell you what we'll do. We'll turn your wife into a werewolf. Do you mind dancing with a werewolf?
Please. Yeah.
This is great, you know. And so it worked out quite well in the end.
Yeah. Bruce, the Number of the Beast album went straight into the UK album charts at #1, and you took off on the Beast on the Road tour. That took you to Spain for the first time, and also over to the States. But you came back to make a headline appearance on Saturday night at the Reading Festival. That must have been a very nerve-wracking gig for you.
Yeah, it was the worst and the best moment of my career to date, I think. Because we flew back from, the last show we did in America was in El Paso, so which is somewhere down in the depths of Texas. So we flew back on this horrendous flight. It was awful. All I remember was I had some terrible things with my neck because I'd messed up the vertebrae in my neck and slipped a disc and everything. So I had these like horse tranquilizers or something on the journey back. American Airlines economy class, that was it. There's me and Dave Light sat next to each other, and Dave said, oh God, he said, I can't sleep. I said, take one of these. So we both swallowed one, and I woke up about every half an hour, and just, there was his head, there was my head. I went, oh, like that. So we got back to England, had a couple of days off to adjust, from jet lag, which didn't do us any good at all. And then we went off on 3 warm-up dates for Reading.
Right.
And I was so nervous that, like, about 36 hours before Reading, I completely lost my voice.
Really? Just went?
I mean, it just went. And it was nerves. I mean, it was nerves. I mean, because things like that do happen with your voice occasionally. Not very often, thank God, but I mean, I was like, you know, I was absolutely panic-stricken. And I went down the festival the day before, and everything. I was wandering around with the beats on side, saying, don't talk to me. You know, I can't
Yes,
talk.
I remember you weren't speaking that day.
Sorry, well, thinking about it now, you know, I mean, the headline band on Saturday night, the singers walking around the day before going, I've lost my voice.
It was interesting.
You
But
know.
you managed to pull through. You were joined on stage by...
it came back miraculously. As soon as I walked on, I thought, I can't possibly lose my voice. This is Reading Festival. So there it was. And then the following day, I went down with the most awful case of flu.
Interesting experience.
Yeah.
Let's move the story along to 1983. Your voice had come back by this stage, but drummer Clive Bird decided to leave the band. What was that all about?
Again, it was. I think it was more similar to the Paul Di'Anno thing. Although there was a fairly strong musical element in it as well, because as a result of his certain sort of personal things he'd been going through, he's having a lot of problems adjusting, I think, to the idea, not to his position as a drummer in a big rock band, you know.
Well, anyway, his replacement was Nico McBrain.
Yeah, Nico, yes.
Very well.
Well, Nico, again, we'd seen him on the Trust tour, and we used to watch him when Trust was... I mean, I wasn't on that tour initially, when Trust supported us in England, but when Trust did a few shows with us was he in France? No, it was in Germany. We always used to creep up to the side of the stage and watch Nico, because he was just such a phenomenal drummer. I mean, he was one of those drummers who's like poetry in motion when you watch him. Called Nico poetic, but you know,
stretching it a bit, I think.
But you know, there's some drummers you can, even if you're not a drummer, you can watch them and think, cool, that guy's really good. You know, just the way he moves and the way he handles things and everything.
So he joined up, and for some strange reason, you decided to leave sunny Willesden for the Bahamas to record the next album at Compass Point.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Still using Martin Birch. This is the Peace of Mind album we're talking about now. the first single from that was Fly to Icarus,
Mm-hmm.
and you recorded the video for that out in the Bahamas.
Yeah, Compass Point. Well, we were stuck, so we had found a film crew who were based in Miami with this director called Jim Yukich, because they were really close and we were working to quite a strict budget. So we thought, well, we'd fly over these septics and see how good they are. And funnily enough, we've stuck with them ever since. I mean, Jim has actually produced everything we've ever done since and directed everything we've ever done
He's
since.
become another member of the Maiden team, but...
Yeah, sort of. He's more on the technical side.
Yeah.
He's a very good technical director, is what we use it for.
But Fly to Icarus was his first effort.
Yes, it's got all kinds of stuff in here. We've got Nico as the it's a real Heath Robinson production. We've got Nico as the hooded character. I'll never forget Nico, face painted blue, with a mouthful of strawberry jam.
Yeah, not pleasant.
With a mouthful of strawberry jam, because we didn't use this section for the video, as it turned out. But Nico went, he got a great idea. He said, I'll sit here and then I'll dribble strawberry jam out of my mouth. And as he was doing it, there was this enormous electrical storm going on, like they only have in the Caribbean, with like lightning everywhere. And we sat there for half an hour trying to capture Nico dribbling strawberry jam with a bolt of lightning in the background, and it didn't work. So eventually we just used him as a painted blue.